Hi, my name is Josh Chilton. I want to thank anyone who's taking the time to watch this video or read my story on GoFundMe. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to take a few minutes and explain why I'm doing this and share a little bit more about my story. So I've been addicted to opiates for the better part of the last 7 years. And it's taken pretty much everything that I cared about away from me. I pulled away from all the things that I loved, and I used to be a Pop Warner football coach. I used to work for a nonprofit organization going back and forth to South Africa. I had gone back to school, and over the past few years, all of that's just kind of withered away. And I finally came to a point this April where I surrendered. I was scared that I was going to die. People were telling me that they feared for my life. And I finally gave in and said, you know what? I'm willing for the first time to do anything that is recommended or suggested of me to get clean. And so I met with a counselor in my family back in April, and we talked about it and decided that I was going to go away and start over somewhere and go to an inpatient treatment facility. When we started searching for facilities around the country, we were not able to find many that would even take me because of my disability. But we did find one that would accommodate me and also offered the mental health services to help me deal with my depression and my trauma. And so off I was to Center City, Minnesota, to Hazelden, which is one of the best recovery centers in the world. And it's been a tremendous experience so far. After my first 30 days in inpatient, my insurance decided that it was time for me to step down to another intensive outpatient treatment in St. Paul, Minnesota. Now, traditionally what happens when somebody steps down is that they move into what is called a sober house. A sober house is a privately owned home that is managed by someone who is in long-term recovery, and there are strict rules. Rules like having a curfew, being subject to drug testing, having to get up at a certain time, make your bed, have a job, or be volunteering. And these things are critical for someone like me because I have lived at an animal level just simply trying to survive for a really long time. And so part of feeling human again is getting back into a routine of doing these simple things. When I started looking for a sober house, I was amazed that there were none in the entire city of St. Paul that were handicap accessible. Most of them I couldn't even get into the front door because of the steps and the lack of having a ramp. But also inside of these houses there were other problems. Getting in the bathroom doors, having access to the toilet and the shower, having privacy, being able to get to the washing machine and the dryer. You know, my dignity and my sense of safety gets threatened when I'm not able to have these things. And it's really hard when I'm trying to focus on staying clean and working through all these issues in my past when I'm worried constantly about having to deal with these basic human needs. And so the alternative to living in a sober house was to stay at the medical facility in St. Paul. Now, this place is a dream scenario for someone like me who has a disability and is in a wheelchair. But there's one major problem. And that problem is that it's very expensive. The first month I was down here, it cost $4,500. The second month, I was able to get that cost down to $3,600, and moving forward, it will most likely stay at that cost, but that is honestly something I cannot afford. And my family has been put through a lot of financial hardships due to my medical issues, due to my addiction, and it's something that they can't afford. So now I'm faced with two equally scary solutions, and I know that I'm not ready to go back home to Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I need time to be away from there and to actually work through these issues and get some recovery and clean time under my belt. But I also know that I'm not able or willing to sacrifice my basic humanity by having to live in a situation where I'm not accommodated and don't have a fair shot at recovery. And so going public with my story was something that I really struggled with. My privacy is very important to me, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to share this, really personal, hard, and scary part of my life with everyone out there. But the more I thought about it, the more I felt a responsibility to do this for the next person who is in my situation. And, I've been told that my story is my biggest asset, and that my story is a story of hope, and it's something that I can use moving forward to impact people's lives and to help people. And I want to dedicate myself moving forward to helping others instead of just myself. I've been selfish for so long, and I just want to thank each and every one of you who has been there in my life. You have impacted me in so many ways, and I just want to pay that back and pay that forward to you and anyone else I can help. And we have an opiate epidemic in the United States right now. 91 Americans died every day in 2015 from an opiate overdose, and that number just continues to go up. 6 out of 10 drug overdose deaths are from opiates. 500,000 Americans have died from an opiate overdose since the year 2000. It's the leading accidental cause of death in America. And so we have a big problem on our hands, and being disabled in recovery is something. It surprised me that this wasn't something that had happened before up here and around the country. I hadn't really heard about anyone having to deal with a situation like this, and the more people I talked to, the more people were amazed that this was a problem. And so moving forward, I've connected with so many great people up here. I've made such good friends. The folks at the Steve Rumler Hope Network, which raises awareness for opiate addiction and chronic pain. The people at YPR, which is Young People in Recovery. Fox 9 has been a huge part of this effort, and we're trying to build the first handicap ADA accessible sober home in St. Paul, Minnesota, and that is the goal. But in the meantime, I've got to find a way to stay here and continue my own personal journey. And so that is why I'm asking for help. And I so appreciate anyone who's taken the time to hear about my story and anyone who is willing to help. It's just, God bless you, and I have so much gratitude for that. And thanks. Bye.